So I've watched quite a few videos recently about Canada's role in World War II, and I asked for recommendations for other videos about any other interesting moments that Canada had in World War II, and someone recommended this one. It's called the Canadian Retribution at Normandy. So yeah, really enjoying learning about this part of Canada's history. It's one I definitely think more people should know about from outside Canada. I'm sure a lot of people in Canada already know about it, but really excited to learn more. Tell me what you think about this.
Well, in one of the previous episodes, we went to the town of Audi and told the story of the massacre of a bunch of Canadian troops by the 12th SS Panzer Division at a place called Abbey Ardennes. Now, that was not going to be the very last time that these two groups were going to meet up. As a matter of fact, they were going to clash into each other very soon after that, very close to the place where I am today.
Yeah, tell me if you know more about that massacre he was talking about there as well. I've not heard about that one, I don't think. So yeah, I guess this is what the retribution is for.
Now, after the tragic massacre at Abbey Ardennes, the 12th SS moved a little bit west to this town right here. This is the town of Row. It's spelled R-O-T-S, so an American redneck like me would have pronounced that Rots. But fortunately, I've got Paul with me, and he was able to tell me the correct pronunciation. But anyway, whenever the 12th SS got to this town, well, they decided to stop and have a little photo shoot. The photos that the 12th SS took here are pretty well known. You can find them on the internet, pretty well circulated. And unfortunately, I'm not quite as dialed in as Snafu Docs, who does these before and after pictures really well. And I didn't bring any of the pictures with me, but fortunately they have an information panel here that shows a lot of these pictures that these guys took that day. Now, probably the most well circulated and most well known would be this picture right here. And if you look, this picture was taken pretty close to the same spot. Well, that photo was snapped right here. All right, here's another one of the photos that those SS guys took. And if you look, you can get it in focus here. You can see, of course, here's some guys from the 12th SS. And if you look at this building right here, the one that says Con at the top, well, we can go right out here. And there is that very building that was in that photo, probably taken very close to where I'm standing right now. All right, here's yet another one. Now take a look at this building right here. If we go and face the other direction, if you see that building in the distance with the red rooftop, well, that's the same building. Okay, and one more. Again, if you look at this photo here on the panel, you can see this kind of a telephone pole here. And if you look at this brick fence, you see some diamond-shaped cavities that run along the side there. Okay, and that's just, probably 25 yards from me. All right, and here we go with what it looks like today. Now, obviously, the light pole is different. Get out of the road so I don't get hit. But you can see there are those diamond-shaped cavities in this brick fence all along this road. And then the building that you kind of saw in that photo is right here. It's now a bakery. now after the photo shoot wrapped up here in Rowe, the guys from the 12th SS loaded up in their Panthers and in their half tracks and started making their way to the next town. And what they didn't know is that it was going to be their turns to stick their head into the buzzsaw. All right, well, I've moved from Rowe to the next town of Bretteville, and this town actually has a larger name, but it's really, really French, and if I try and say it, I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt myself. But anyway, after the 12th SS had their photo shoot in Rowe, they would have come down this road right here and would have entered right here into the town of Bretteville, and awaiting them were men from the Canadian Infantry. Now, this is a story that I am really, honestly, kind of unfamiliar with, but Paul Woodage knows it really well.
The evening of June the 8th had seen the 12th SS confident of a victory, partial victory, because they had lost some tanks the day before on June the 7th. Kurt Meyer, the commander, has arrogantly said he would throw those fishes back in the sea, implying the Canadians kind of getting the impression that they're subhuman. His men were doped up on drugs, they'd had alcohol. On the morning of the 8th, or the afternoon of the 8th, they even stopped for their photos to be taken, which we've just done in the village of Rowe back there. And in this village of Bretteville-Lauriers, they knew there were some Regina rifles, just some infantry. So just let's rustle up some tanks, let's knock these guys out, no problem, all done and dusted. What they didn't know is the Regina rifles, the Canadian infantry, had this village fortified. The first Panther tank, the evening of the 8th of June, rolls down to exactly where we are now. As it gets to here, 2 Canadian infantrymen in that building there with a Piat projector infantry tank, bang, fire around, hits the tank in the track. The track starts piling off, the tank is kind of unable to maneuver. The second Panther following it tries to get a reaction shot off to where the Piat shot has come from, inadvertently puts a hole in the back of the turret of his own mate ahead of him, bang, the tank brews up the first one. Oh. A half track of Germans is trying to sort of overtake past this knocked out tank. It gets up here, it goes past this building here, and the story is Canadian infantry behind those railings there kind of jump up and broadside it with Sten guns and Bren guns. Brrr. The half track kind of slews into the side of the road there, and within seconds, 1 Panther, 1 half track, and a second Panther, which is now can't get past the first. Canadian infantry in the buildings. And the thing about a Panther tank is the time it takes to rotate the barrel in the gun there, it's not designed for a battle like this in the confines of a street. The Germans following see this carnage here and they think, well, we'll kind of overlap a little bit, and they take a side road up that way to the east there. But what happens is they end up bottlenecking themselves. We walk this way a bit. What happens is some of these half tracks and vehicles kind of get in, there's like a big kind of walled field behind this building over here, and they're kind of trapped, they can't get anywhere. And although they're armoured vehicles and they're only being opposed by infantry, these guys have got them cornered, and the tank can't use its power in this situation. Their vehicles that survive limp their way back to Rowe, met by the very same camera teams that have seen them off to a supposed victory. They come back demoralised, broken, half their men are killed or wounded, and Meyer and his commander say, what happened? Did you bump into tanks? Did you bump into anti-tank weapons? No, not really, a few infantry and houses. I mean, it was humiliating.
It's like really interesting when you see it like this when they're actually in the location. I watched a lot of like war documentaries recently, and it's showing you like when they're going through more like open spaces, fields and different things like that. But when you actually see it in these like small thin streets going from town to fight each other, really brings it to life and shows the difficulties of it as well, man, like how intense it must have been. You see this footage as well, man, very interesting.
next day, Kurt Meyer and his SS, they will now just try and eradicate this village off the face of the map. They are really angry now. And another column of this time 12 Panther tanks are sent to outflank the town from the south and come in over a railway line and hit the town there. And again, this meets with complete disaster. The Regina Rifles are well defended and fortified in a wood just south of town. And although they're starting to lose their positions and these Panther tanks are looking like they're going to break through, suddenly to the rescue, a unit of Sherman Fireflies, the upgunned Sherman with the bigger gun, that are actually being brought by their delivery drivers essentially to join a new unit, are kind of coming in. They're lost actually, they don't know where the hell these guys are, and they're like, oh, there's some guys in tanks over there, let's ask them where we are. Hang on, those guys are Panthers, and they're coming at just the right angle. The Panthers are facing one way, these Sherman Fireflies come over the brow of a hill, over a railway line, and within seconds almost, these Panthers are just burning in flames because of these Fireflies and the Regina Rifles hitting them in a crossfire. By the end of June the 9th, the 12th SS have lost over a dozen Panther tanks, other armoured vehicles here. They have been completely demoralised. The Canadians have lost armoured vehicles already in Normandy. They were going to lose more vehicles. The difference is they can replace theirs. Every Panther tank lost here is one the Germans cannot replace. And this little village of Bretteville-Lorgueuse is where about a third of the entire tank force of the 12th SS was knocked out in about a 36-hour period. And most people don't stop here because they take a bypass past this village between Caen and Bayeux. But if you stop here, you're realising why the key tank engagements of the first few days of D-Day happened right where we're standing.
So right here is where we parked to shoot this video. There used to be a house here. The reason that this is now a bus stop is one of those German half-tracks ran into the house and ended up having to tear it down. Here's a screen grab that I pulled from the OTD Canadian Military History Channel, and you can see the knocked out Panther there with the house in the background. Well, that house is right here. Okay, this is actually pretty cool. So we were out here, you know, filming and showing some stuff with the house. The owner of the house came out and was walking his dog, talked to us for a little bit. His English is pretty good, and he said, wait a minute, and he ran back into his house and came back out, and he knew that we were big, you know, World War II history buffs, I guess, you know, since we're out here looking like dummies with a camera. And he decided to give me a piece of shrapnel that he dug up out of his garden from the battle here at Bretteville. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
So cool, man. Nice. What is that shrapnel actually from? You really see like such a intense situation in such a small.
What we are looking at right here is a monument to the Regina Rifle Regiment who fought here in Bretteville. And in the British and Canadian military, they have what are called battle honors, where if something like really significant happened, it gets kind of placed as a badge of honor with your regiment. Well, you can see here with the Regina Rifle Regiment, they have listed the Normandy landing, also the Orne, Falaise. They have some different actions from World War I. But the action here at Bretteville, and I know there's more to the name of this town, but it's French and I'll just butcher it if I try and attempt it. But anyway, this spot right here became a place of honor in the Canadian military for what these men did.
That's a great way to pay tribute. Beautiful monument. The Regina Rifle. Really cool.
All right, well, there you go. That is the story of one of the other clashes between the Canadian infantry and the 12th SS here in the Battle of Normandy. I'll tell you what, the obviously being an American, I'm always going to be more familiar with the American stories, but I'm taking a greater and greater interest in what the Canadians and the British did, because like what happened here in Bretteville is just an absolutely amazing story, and it really typifies a lot of what you see in the Battle of Normandy in this area, like behind Sword Beach and Juneau, where you know, if the Americans are typified by a lot of movement, here it's just a lot of attrition and grinding action, and having like the Germans win one day and then the Allies the next. But it's all very compelling and all very important to the overall success of the Battle of Normandy. Now, if you want to learn more about what happened with the Canadians and the British, I would suggest going to World War II TV. That's an excellent resource. There's another channel called OTD Canadian Military History that is also really, really good. But anyway, that was the story of the Canadians here at Bretteville.
That was excellent, brilliant video, really great to learn about another situation or incident during World War II that involved the Canadians, and really shown that Canadian bravery, especially coming back after, he said, talking about a massacre that happened before this. So I would like to know more about that. If you know about that, tell me what actually happened. Was it in Normandy as well? Was it somewhere, like, where in relation to this was it? But yeah, to see the Germans go in there with that almost like arrogance, and for the Canadians to just be set up so strategically well placed to just push them back and send them back straight away to that other small town. Very interesting story. Yeah, as I said, like, I think the word grit is like very relevant there as well, showing that grit after being massacred and being able to like still have that strength to fight back and never give up. And yeah, like really I've watched a lot of documentaries and stuff, but actually for them to be in that like street where it all took place, see those photographs and things, and to like really be able to like almost put yourself there in that situation, must have been harrowing for the people, or a lot of different emotions of course, but yeah, it really brought it to life. So tell me what you think about this situation, the Canadian retribution at Normandy. Thanks.